Councillor Lyman.
Here.
Councillor Matthew.
Here.
Councillor Larson.
Here.
Councillor Kuechly.
Here.
Mayor Swanson.
Here. Report from department heads, Public Works.
Oh, we had a water break last Friday on Grant Location Road. We repaired it yesterday. We had Joel and Stop coming and they did it for us. Otherwise, it's been just basic spring cleanup stuff with patching holes, sweeping streets, raking the empty lots.
Have you been doing anything with any of the alleys yet, Trent?
Yeah, we graded all the alleys and took the loader through half of them, took the grader through the other half.
Okay. You want to wait till the agenda item to discuss turning off the water, Mike?
Oh, yeah, I'll talk about that. We checked the water today. There's been no change for 2 months pretty much. Some places, well, one place went up a degree, a couple other places went down a degree, so it's not much change. Highest temperature was 37, lowest was 32. So that's still dangerously low, I guess. I guess not dangerously low, but it's
Concerning. We should
concerning,
maybe
yes.
hold off for a little bit yet.
Yeah.
What's the temperature when you pull it out of the ground instead of the tank? You know?
I don't know that.
50 something? 52?
I guess I haven't checked the temperature on that. In order to check the temperature, I'd have to jump in the cage and pull off the vents and
You can ask
check the
about
thermometer,
cemetery.
which I can easily do that.
That's...
If you wanted to know that, I can get that temperature for you. But
That's another thing. At the cemetery, one of the buildings has a door that's open on it. Looks like it was possibly...
oh,
Kicked
they're
in.
talking about. There is one building that there isn't really a door on it. That's the one.
Yeah, that'd be the one, yes.
Yeah, since I've been here, there hasn't been a door on
Okay,
it.
I hadn't been around there for a little while. I
Oh, yeah.
took a drive through to just check on things, and I said, well, that's a little odd. So, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Trent.
Okay.
Fire and ambulance,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
engineering, attorney. Do you have anything for us tonight? Attorney?
Oh, no, I don't, sorry. You're going fast, too fast for me.
We're missing a few. Long-range planning and zoning.
We met last night for a variance hearing, and we're starting the procedure for a couple to get a variance because they're going to have 12-foot walls instead of 10-foot on their garage building. Another gentleman was here, but he didn't need our services for what he's going to put in. And we set some meeting dates for this comprehensive planning that we have going for the city for our IRRB funding. That was about it.
Okay. Library board. Got the minutes there. Recreation board, we got their minutes too. Beta meets next week.
Next Wednesday.
And sheriff.
I'll defer to the latter part of the agenda.
Okay. Council additions to the agenda. Do we have anything we have to add?
I got to add this for the claims. Everybody's got the
Medical
paper there for
payment.
the medical payment.
We'll just add that to the claims?
Yep.
All right. Citizens forum, anybody wishing to address the council? All right. Consent agenda minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of the council meeting of April 7th.
That's the thing intent.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Claims?
Make a motion, we accept the claims for period number 8 and period number 4 and plus $396.60 for April and May health insurance premium for retiree.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Business. Item 1, St. Louis County Sheriff's contract. And Sheriff Littman.
Mayor and council members, thanks for the opportunity to come on up here today. I know we've had, between myself and Clerk Buchanan, some correspondence over the last couple of months, and I've also had the opportunity to watch online the past council meetings, and I know there's been some discussion regarding the contract that your city here has with the St. Louis County Sheriff's Office. And I'm not here to really make any pitch. I'm here really to address any questions or concerns that any of you have about the long-standing contract and agreement, and I'd argue mutually beneficial arrangement that St. Louis County Sheriff's Office has had with the city of Buhl since I took office back in 2003. I don't know if there's any specific provision of the contract that's causing all of you some heartburn, but I'm just here to answer any questions that you might have and have a real candid and open dialogue. So is that it?
Yes, I do.
Matthew, yeah.
First 8 years I was on the council here, and took 4 years off in between. We always had the system here, since we bought the car, we got to keep the car here in town, specifically for the city of Buhl. I guess my question would be, why did that change? Why does that patrol car go home now?
Well, I think we're doing that under the mutual agreement, both with the Sergeant McKenzie, and that the city has allowed the deputy that's assigned here to take the squad home. And we also have an arrangement in place to pick up a portion of the gas as a result, so. That's not, my understanding of that arrangement, it's not something that we just did on our own, we did with the consent of the city.
There's nothing in the contract that reflects
No,
that.
no.
And we've also since then had a city policy put in place that we don't allow personal use of city-owned vehicles and equipment.
Well, I think
And that was for a reason, and I think another distasteful part of that is that he would be paid to drive to work, where there's no employee that I know of, at least not in our city, who gets paid to drive to work. And it's quite a drive.
I think part of the additional rationale behind that was an incentive to keep the deputy here, whether it's now Brock Kick or in the past others, you know. That's your call. That's your call. It's not written in the contract. It's not a contractual term.
So it's something that we could discuss.
It's your call.
How is the gas broken down, or what's determined what share the county pays for?
My understanding is we pick up roughly a third of it, yeah. I think the total, I don't know if Sergeant McKenzie has the numbers handy, but I'm talking about roughly less than $2,000 a year for fuel for the squad. So I mean, I understand it's a money factor, but in terms of, is it a big ticket item or a big dollar item?
If I could interject, Deputy Kick does not drive the squad car to and from work on company time. He's been instructed that he has to be in the city or close to it at the beginning of his shift. In other words, the time that he spends driving that patrol car from his home, which is not in Duluth, by the way, as some...
No. Has been reported.
Yeah. It's 18 miles, and he is to start his shift, in other words, get into that patrol car a half an hour before the beginning of his shift, so that he can travel on his time. And of course, we also expect that while he's traveling in a marked St. Louis County Sheriff's squad car, painted to look like a St. Louis County Sheriff's squad car, that he's available to assist other officers or take action as need be, as we would expect any officer to take when they observe something or get called to assist somebody or take some action that would be appropriate. So he's not traveling on company time, or on city time rather. So
One thing I was talking with Brock about, if he takes that car home, then he's got it in his possession, secured. Like if he leaves it here, then it's open
No, it was locked up in the fire hall before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then there's people coming in and out too.
I was wondering if it would be possible, okay, you know, when a new squad comes up, okay, when a new one's, it's gotta be replaced. Being that this is the way things are, is there a way that we can get the county to pay partial for that new squad instead of the city of Buhl paying for the whole squad?
I don't know if that's possible. I mean, the situation is and there's some new council members here, so maybe I need to just share a little historical perspective of where we're at today in terms of the contract and not only my philosophy, but that of the St. Louis County Board of Commissioners, is that I standardized, this is close to 10 years ago, or started the process of standardizing all the contracts that we have for law enforcement services with the City of Buhl, Kinney, with Aurora, and also with Mountain Iron. And the philosophy that I had, and which was the directive from the county administration and the Board of Commissioners also, was that the county, in terms of the contract and the exhibit that is a part of it, is that the county recoup the true and actual cost of providing the service, okay, in all respects. There's a lot of things that aren't in the exhibit that are part of our arrangement, and I'll point at Sergeant McKenzie as one. I mean, his time, I think there's great value in him appearing at all council meetings, and it's an administrative feature that's afforded the City of Buhl that's not written in the contract, and I'd argue that it has value. But the intent of the contract, again, was to recoup the true and actual cost in totality of providing the service, okay? So in terms of us coming to an arrangement and paying a portion of the new purchase cost of the squad, I don't think that's something that I want to enter into, because we're faced with the same situation in the other communities where we provide law enforcement services too.
Russ, could you answer me this? It's a question that I've had people ask me. Why don't we just not have any law enforcement? We can still call 911.
Yeah.
Is that not the case?
It's true. I mean, there's no requirement on municipalities, towns, and cities to have their own police department or to contract with the sheriff's office to provide that service. It's completely optional. There's certain services that I am required to provide to the citizens of St. Louis County. And just generally speaking, you know, it's a statutory requirement that I apprehend all felons. And it's not that I have to do it all, but I also, of course, have deputies that assist me in these statutory responsibilities. Now, one might argue we've got a moral obligation to respond to certain calls, like let's say here in the City of Buhl, if you didn't contract with us and didn't have your own police department, if there was an accident on Grant at an intersection and somebody was injured with potentially life-threatening injuries, you know, we have a moral obligation to respond, okay? But the bottom line is you folks make a conscious decision each and every year or during the term of a contract to provide a level of service over and above what I'm statutorily required to respond to or to give you. You folks have made a decision since back in 2003 to do something extra, to have a deputy or basically your own officer assigned to this community to be, you know, your community resource officer to enforce certain ordinances, right? That's a decision you all make. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell you that I think you need a contract with us, with Chisholm, or whomever, or to go back to where you were many, many years ago, where you have your own police department. That's a decision that you folks have to make, and only you can make it. I'm not going to stand up here and offer you an opinion either way.
I think what kind of got this rolling too, not just being open to what other options we might have, but wondering why our contract is 5 years old and why we can't have any dialogue and flexibility and maybe making changes within the contract. But I think you've explained that tonight, where your ideology is with that as far as keeping them all pretty much on the same.
With the underlying premise of the county recouping in totality, the entire cost of providing the service. Because in addition to, I should have mentioned, I think in addition to having to report to the county board and county administration, I think I've also got an obligation to the other, basically almost 200,000 citizens of this county, that, that they're not subsidizing a police presence in the city of Buhl on the financial back of the other taxpayers of this county.
But on the other hand, anybody who does live in the country, they don't pay additionally for county services, do they? Or do they?
Well, everybody pays.
Right.
Everybody pays, but we're talking about the basic level of service that are provided to everybody throughout the county, and the city of Buhl has chosen to contract with us for something different.
Okay.
A deputy assigned on average 40 hours a week to handle all of the calls for service and all the other related duties right here in the city of Buhl. It's a subtle but arguably also a distinct difference.
I do understand that we would lose out as far as our blight, our calendar parking, as far as for bad snowstorms, that kind of stuff. These are services that we do have,
Right. There are services provided here, that's true.
A lot of the people that I've kind of asked about it don't like the idea of no law enforcement.
Oh, no.
Or
No.
just having,
Right.
to be able to dial 911.
Right.
They don't.
Yeah,
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah.
yeah.
How many years has Brock been? 5?
I'd say at least, yeah.
Probably 5.
Yeah. And everybody's gotten to know him, and everybody does know him, so.
And I think if memory serves me that our arrangement with the vehicle and the gas goes back even prior to Brock being here. As
Yeah.
an incentive to keep, because let's be honest, I've got a sworn staff of, counting myself, 109. And of course, by contract, the collective bargaining agreement with the deputy sheriffs, Buhl is a location, and all deputies have the right to bid on this location to be here, and based on seniority, they get assigned. And I think it was basically an added incentive or enticement to try to get somebody to work here, quite honestly. All the other, with very, very few exceptions, all of the deputy sheriffs that work with me are assigned a vehicle, and as a result, take it home. So for Brock to be in the situation where...
Yeah, it's just a different sort of a contract, and local law enforcement and county have kind of a different mindset on how law enforcement works for them. I think that's true too, that the county sheriffs are more widely based, where your local patrols is a whole different kind of law enforcement. I guess the other thing that has always been kind of it's bothersome to me, because I really like to have accountability, and there's just no accounting for the amount of time spent in Buhl. Of that 40 hours, I don't really see it, There's really no way of knowing how much time he's actually spending here.
Well, and that's, first of all, we have a lot of trust with all our deputies, but we also verify it. And the verification process is the supervision given by Sergeant McKenzie, and also the supervising deputy out of the Hibbing duty station.
Right, but he gets
Chandler
called
Chelsea.
out too, right? Where if there's something going on, he can leave our city and go out and do whatever anywhere in the county to help out.
Well, there'd be emergency calls for service, so I wouldn't characterize it so much as just, spending a lot of time out in the hinterlands really doing unproductive work. I mean, knowing Brock and the supervision that Pat McKenzie has over this operation. And again, it's not unique to the city of Buhl. We go through the same kind of dialogue and discussion we did in Aurora until the end of that contract, but the same thing in Mountain Iron. And the men and women that work in the law enforcement communities are very well aware that the primary focus of their duties and responsibilities and the amount of time they spend in whether it's a 8, 10, or 12-hour shift should be in the communities that they serve. And in terms of, I don't think there's any great secret in sharing the patrol logs, so that if there was any question over the amount of time that Brock or anybody else spent outside the community, that can be verified through patrol logs and what have you.
I noticed that they purchased a car in 2010. How often do you want the cars replaced? What year would we be looking at for a new one for our
Counselor,
city?
generally speaking, we find that at about 100,000 miles, and I don't know, it's not so much the number of years the squad's in service as much as the mileage. Once the mileage starts getting high, you wind up spending too much money on maintenance and repairs, and they tend to get a little bit loose too.
Do we know where ours is
Yeah.
at?
We're at about 65,000
Oh, okay.
currently.
That's
The 2010 model Dodge Charger.
Wanted to get a little check at the future to see when we'd have to be purchasing another.
But we also talked about selling it much before 100,000 miles because it's got some value if you do, rather than a worn-out squad car having to replace it, having to buy a brand-new car and having to pay for it entirely. Where I think that this car, particularly this car, has some value if we trade it or sell it before its normal cycle time.
I noticed Mountain Iron has a pickup. What's the feeling on a pickup for a patrol vehicle that can then be, after it has too many miles, like maybe the city crew could use, or?
Well, I mean, personally, I'm opposed to the pickup trucks. I know that we have some. And I mean, they're a great bargain from Chrysler, but I think that they're not meant to be an emergency response vehicle. They're not meant to be, not like a Dodge Charger or a Ford Crown Victorias, are not meant to handle and brake the same way those cars are. And I think that I realize there's the four-wheel drive advantage, but now all-wheel drive squad cars are coming on board too, and in fact, they're getting common. So I think that a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive squad car is a better choice than a pickup truck.
But having said that, Sergeant McKenzie likes his squads and other sergeants throughout his county probably like different. You know what? It's a lot like your own personal preference as to what kind of vehicle you like. So really, that's something that we could work with the city on, and we buy it on the state contract price, and if it's the city's preference, we'll work together on that. Because there might be some wisdom in a pickup and use by your city public works once it's at the end of its useful life for us.
I was just looking at what used squad cars generally bring, and it's really not.
It's not very much.
Very much.
That's why I wanted to sell the Dodge Charger before, long before 100,000 miles.
Mhm.
So,
And being it's a Charger, probably.
well, and it's
Adds
right.
a little
And when we bought that car, we bought the Hemi with it, knowing that it would have greater resale value down the road,
Mhm.
and it will too.
I don't have any more questions.
I just wanna make a note that, like last night, we were called for the ambulance down at town, and we had there was actually 3 deputies in town, one at the academy, doing a walkthrough with the fire department, and there was 2 more that assisted us at the downtown. So it was they were there before we got there, within 5 minutes. So that's very good to have.
Yeah,
A resource that the county can.
yeah.
Well, you did clear up some questions, and I thank you. I mean,
Thank you for
there's
coming.
been stuff
Russ.
that's
very
been
much.
we've been wondering about. So why and how and,
Well, glad to, I hope I did, and made it clearer and not muddier, but at any point in time, if, I'm always open to coming back up here and addressing the council, and I'm only a phone call away too,
Okay.
if any issues come up. Feel free to use these two guys too, which I know you do. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
Mr.
time.
Okay.
Agenda item B, law enforcement quotes. We've got a quote from the Chisholm Department, and I don't think we're going to probably
no.
consider that. So
No.
we'll move on to agenda item C.
Did you want no action taken on this
Yeah.
then?
No
Yeah,
action.
no action.
Forest Health Promissory Note. Deb, would you like to speak to us?
I'd like to thank the council members and Mayor Swanson for listening to my request, and I'll keep it as brief as possible. Most of you know the history. Cornerstone Villa, Forest Health Services, Inc., does have a debt to the facility for $153,300, plus annualized 6% interest for the past 11 years. Where the debt came from was when the facility was originally bought, when the bonding was secured, the city of Buhl sold Cornerstone Villa, some property it sits on now, for $153,300. During that process, it was a tough bonding process. The facility cost a lot of money to build. Its debt structure is extremely heavy for a small facility. So what happened during that whole process, the City of Buhl and MCR Development both incurred subordinated debt, and that the subordinated debt is $153,300 due to the city. But the debt is extremely subordinated. During the bonding agreement, of which the council had agreed to at that time, that debt, in order for us to pay anything on that debt, we had to meet 3 goals. One of which, 2 we've met pretty consistently every year. The one piece that I would never see the facility meeting under any circumstances is the piece where the facility has to have 60 days operating cash in reserve at the end of its fiscal year. That amounts to between $500,000 and $600,000 in operating reserves before any of that subordinated debt can be paid out. With the climate of nursing homes today, even under good circumstances, that isn't going to happen. And I do believe at that time, I wasn't a part of that process, but everybody would have understood that debt, the odds of that any payments being made on it wouldn't happen until the bonds were all paid off, which is their 30-year bond sale. What the facility is trying to accomplish right now is refinancing all of that debt. When the bonding took place, the facility was in an agreement with the bonding company to pay anywhere from 5 to 6.75% interest on those bonds. Right now, on year 11, we're at 6.75% interest on the bonds currently. We're trying to refinance that down to a 3.5% interest. And in order to do that, we have to clean up our balance sheet. So what we're asking the City of Buhl to consider is a debt forgiveness, so we can get the $153,300 worth of debt off our balance sheet along with the corresponding interest. What it will do for Cornerstone to refinance is it'll allow us, with the savings of the interest and a little bit lower actual monthly payment, it'll allow us to build some capital reserves. At 11 years, we're doing fine. Things are tight. They're tight in all nursing homes in the state of Minnesota, but we have absolutely no reserves. At year 11, I'm starting to look down the road at capital expenditures. You know, things are gonna start wearing out. You know, when that starts happening, we will not have the money under the current structure to do any upgrades or replacements or anything with that for the facility. Right now, we pay $430,000 annually in interest alone, and only $120,000 on the actual principal, so it tells you it's extremely lopsided. By refinancing at 3.5% interest, we'll have about a $10,000 savings per month. But what it'll do is switch us around, so we're paying more on principal and less on interest. In 5 years, we'll have that debt paid down substantially. In 10 years, you know, when things, you know, like a roof, which, you know, is, you know, what I've been told is approximately $250,000 to $300,000, we potentially would either have the money to pay for that or a big share of it, but we would also be able to potentially finance, you know, some of the expenditures if they were large enough. Right now, we can't do that. And what I would like is for the council to at least consider forgiving the $153,300 plus corresponding interest, which will allow us to forge forward with this refinance. It's something that we feel we need to do today. We've been working on it. I've been working on it for about 2 years. And we've gone through HUD, we've looked at rebonding. It's just, it hasn't been a possibility. We're currently working with Doherty Mortgage, and it would be actually bank mortgage on this facility. And right now, it's doable. We did have it appraised. We've gone through about 2/3 of the process, and it does look like we have the potential to refinance when the interest rates are low. But until we can get some of this debt off our balance sheet, the subordinated debt, it really is encumbering our ability to refinance. Something, you know, it's not a decision you have to make tonight. If you want to, you know, discuss it, make the decision tonight, that's great. If you would prefer that, if you have any questions, and Nick Scarich, who works for Doherty, could come up next council meeting and address the council as well.
Deb, are you looking at some kind of a timeline on this?
We're hoping that we can close on our mortgage the 1st of July. So we're really kind of under a time crunch. We don't want the interest rates to move. They've inched up a little bit, they've come down a little bit. And each little bit costs, you know, when you're looking at almost a $6 million loan, you know, every 1/4%, 1/8% really costs a lot of money, so.
Deb, did you speak at all with them about Mike's idea as far as a $10,000 in lieu of taxes payment to the city?
Yes, I did. I did talk to Nick about that. That wouldn't affect our ability to refinance, and actually, there are facilities out there that do pay a fee in lieu of taxes. It's something, if, you know, and the facility is wide open to doing that. What I would ask is that potentially that we do it and have a 2-year delay on it so we can get our American Bank notes paid down. We have a note out that will be paid off in 2 years, and then after that, I know Mike had talked about doing 5 years on something like that. We can do 5 years, or we can do an indefinite period of time. Mike had mentioned $10,000 a year, and it's not something that's out of the ordinary for a nonprofit to do that doesn't pay real estate taxes.
Right.
And actually, $10,000 a year is a pretty good deal for real estate taxes on a facility like that.
Okay.
I guess that's better than not getting any payment back for the property, which wouldn't happen because of the subordinate like this.
Exactly, and we want to see them succeed.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, without having the money that she was talking about for operating funds, we're the last one on the totem pole. So we would never see any money come back out of that $153,000.
do we need to discuss this further with any of your finance people, or?
No,
have
not
something
this
drawn
part
up?
of it. You know, really what I'm looking for is, I'm not looking for a resolution or anything like that. Right now, if, you know, the council could discuss it, if you could approve it tonight, what it would do is, it would just be in the minutes, so when we actually go to the bank, the city has agreed to do this, we can do the final on it just before everything closes in mid-June, 1st of July, so.
Okay.
I mean, that's a great offer, you know, as far as that 10,000 indefinitely too. That's a great offer.
Well, it's
Starting after 2
something nice
years,
back to
you
the
know.
city.
Sure.
So maybe if somebody would like to make that into a motion to forgive the debt and to have the facility begin $10,000 a year payments in lieu of taxes in 2 more years
After 2 years.
indefinitely, we could do that in one motion.
Mr. Deal, do you see any problems here?
Yeah, I wonder if we shouldn't be doing this by resolution rather
Okay.
than by motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we put that on our next agenda then?
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with taking 2 weeks
Okay.
to think about it either.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
thank you, Deb.
Would you like me to have, maybe the next meeting, have Nick come up, or what would you like?
I don't think
I
it's
don't think
necessary.
it's necessary. We'll get
Okay.
this done properly and move it forward for you.
Okay, thank you so
I
much.
can understand why you want the resolution, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Deb. All right,
I'm sorry.
Buhl Curling Club. Missy, you're going to speak to us tonight. Curling Club, rec board,
I know.
bartender, she's
I know,
everything.
I know. But I'm having fun, let you know.
That's good. That's the main thing.
Okay, I do apologize to council members and everyone here. I'm ill-prepared right now. The curling club has an issue with our plant. It is very, very old. I have no idea when it started, 50, 100 years ago, I don't know. But we are trying to get estimates from Durban because we need a whole new building over the plant.
Okay.
And the plant itself, we have been talking to Rodrigo. He hasn't given us the estimates yet. He's still going through all the estimates, but as just a ballpark figure from what I'm hearing from everybody with the electrical, the plant, and the building that we have to
The housing around the
encase it,
unit.
yeah,
Mhm.
encase it in, is close to like 150,000, give or take, is what it is. Now, the club, we have been very stingy with our money, and we've banked some of it. We are looking at doing, as a nonprofit organization, we can do 2 fundraisers a year, and that's what we're looking into right now. I mean, we have to get these estimates done first before we can move forward with anything else, so that's what we're waiting for right now.
Sure.
But we would like some help, maybe, like maybe if Buhl, City Buhl has a grant writer, or if not, we do have a person of interest that we know of that can help us with the grant.
Well, any
writing,
kind of
or-
grants we might be able to find. I know we do get, is it the CDBG grant, or which one is it that's for more than one community? Is that?
We have mining effects dollars,
Mining
but,
effects.
we're not talking a
Yeah.
lot of money there. We're talking maybe, what is it this year, about 40 grand at the most?
Yeah, not quite.
Yeah, and only half of it would be able to go, so
Yeah.
we're talking maybe 20 grand.
Yeah. So there might be little bits and pieces that we can scrounge together that way. As far as grant writing, Mike loves grant writing.
Yeah, I sure do.
Well, we gotta remember too, that mining effects money, we wanna put the money towards the new bathrooms down there, plus into the kitchen. Because being that it's a year-round city building, blah, 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 usage and all
Right.
that stuff has to be brought up
That would
to
have to be
date, up to
done
code.
first.
That has to be done.
Okay, and you know, I was kind of wondering about that too, since it's really, yes, it is a city building, but it's not like a restaurant. It's not like we use it for special occasions, basically. I do know that a lot of the special occasions that have happened down there, they use the porta johns or porta potties that are handicap accessible already, especially during the summertime. In the wintertime, of course, we have our curling that brings in revenue to the town and the businesses that we do have here. And it's a big Buhl Curling Club has one of the biggest bonspiels on the Iron Range right now. It's phenomenal that we've even been able to keep it going this long. But that, I mean, that's just, so we don't know if can we hold off a year on the kitchen and the,
Well, according to the inspector, the kitchen part, no.
well, we have the sinks. The only thing the inspector had on that is in our upright freezer, because it's just a normal, it's not
It's not commercial.
It's not, yeah, that's right.
You can't have the rival cookware there, because it's not commercial.
It's not commercial,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
They don't have,
Those are
their
further mine.
cookware is not gonna do nothing about. You just
No,
connect
but
it
as far
on.
as
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
handicap bathrooms, can those not wait another year?
I have no idea. I mean, I thought it was the curling club that brought that up to us, so.
Well, the only, right,
Because it's
Yeah.
kind of grandfathered in, but it's something that we should get done and taken care of, correct? So, you're looking like,
Yeah, no, I think, right, I think whenever you do any kind of a repair, I think to bathrooms in general, you have to bring them into code with the ADA, you know, the American Disabilities Act, so. So we do anything, I do think you're gonna have to spend the money
we'll
on
have to
it.
spend, yeah, and get it done right.
I mean, granted, we haven't had a negative deal yet, a report from any inspector as far as on the bathrooms.
right, no, we haven't.
We haven't.
But are you saying that this new plant needs to be done this year, that you won't
Yeah.
make it another winter with it?
We don't know for sure yet.
We've been
It's been
putting
patched together
Band-Aids
for
on it for
past 5 years.
Okay,
I mean, if you got, just roughly, how much have you put back into it in the last 5 years for trying to keep that plant going?
Close to 30,000.
Okay,
That's just a rough estimate.
sure.
well, it won't do a lot of good to redo bathrooms if the plant goes down.
I know.
And you have no curling club.
Right. Exactly.
So, any help we can be.
Okay,
I think the city would like to help you in any way we can.
so that's basically what if we can, and that would be great, just to hold off. I mean, and we do have, like I said, we are very stingy with our money, and we do have some money that we could put towards this, and like I said, we are going for 2 of our
Fundraisers and
And
grants.
that, yep, and with all of that just pooled together, we should be able to make it, like I said, 150, give or take. I'm not sure because I don't have any
Yeah.
estimates.
Well, they
I
had,
apologize for that.
this
Okay.
report here had 100,000, that's why we were looking,
Right, and that was without the,
Building, the building.
without the building outside.
and the electrical work, yeah.
There's no building now?
There's a
There
building,
is.
but it's very dilapidated.
Yeah, it's-
The roof is falling in. and-
I've looked at it, Paul, it's,
Yeah, I didn't
You're-
realize there even was one.
Yeah. behind there.
When you walk in there, you're scared to even open the door and walk in.
Sorry about that, Brian.
well, all we can say is that, we'll see what we can do. We don't know yet, we have to look at things and,
Keep us updated, and if we find that there are funds coming in, we'll put this at the top of our priority list, but,
Yeah.
I'm not sure just what all grants are out there.
And
That may
that's
be
what I don't
something to
know.
research.
Yeah, that's what I'm not sure of, and that, I mean, if I could, Mike, if I could talk to you or anybody, any help would be very much appreciated, and I would be willing to meet with anybody or work with anybody. I just, that curling club is, and it's one of 4 on the Iron Range that are still operating and working, so
Yeah. Want to keep it going. Okay. All right.
that's it, thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you,
thanks,
Missy.
Missy. The library annual report worksheet.
You all have it in front of you? It has been submitted to the state. It was approved by Arrowhead Library System. They go through it with fine-tooth comb. So if they have any questions, I answered.
so you
They
got,
helped me with
you got an A+ then?
Yes, I did,
Okay.
sir. Is there any questions?
It's kind of the same
Yeah, I mean, it's,
gobbledygook every year.
yeah,
Yes, it is.
It's just what it is.
yeah, I didn't see anything that threw up a flag for me going through
No.
it. That's, the parts I could understand,
Yes.
being honest.
Try to be the one that's collecting the data.
I think it's good to go. All right.
Do we need approval on that, Mike?
You should have approval to approve.
I'll
the,
make a motion that we approve the 2014 Public Library Annual Report.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
The International Property Maintenance Code. Has everybody read this?
Yes.
All 19 pages?
No.
It said 90 pages in Virginia in the paper, but it was 19. Did you
I
look
went through
through
it,
it?
I didn't read it word for word,
I didn't
but
My opinion of this thing is that there's no way I think we can implement this. It's gonna cost us money. Mr. Green isn't gonna do this stuff for nothing.
Right.
So I actually think Mike, since he's been here, has not had he had one complaint one time.
Yeah.
And I really don't think we should implement this.
The only reason I entertained it was because you saw where it could be beneficial in one circumstance in our community anyway, but
Yeah, and it seemed like a better code than what we were looking at, from Durham and all the other towns and so forth. It seemed a little bit more precise, so, but
what's your feeling on it, Mike?
I don't think we need it.
Okay,
there we go.
all right.
I would agree.
So we really need to take no action.
Okay.
Unless anybody here feels the need to move ahead with the code, okay?
We can do it on the road. can't we?
Yes, we can.
Certainly,
Always go back and
Yes.
revisit
If
it.
something happens, we can always bring it
Yeah.
back.
If all of a sudden we get an influx of 2,000 people renting, well, then we could.
Right.
So,
Get right on it.
All right, we'll move on to the beach supervisor hire. The Recreation Board is recommending the hiring of Scott McIntyre as beach supervisor. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we hire Scott McIntyre as the beach supervisor.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed, motion carried.
in case people were just wondering, just something to mention about this, we hire him ahead of time so he can sit in on the hiring of the other people that work at
Yes.
the beach. So,
Very good.
Summer Youth Help Wanted. The City of Buhl Public Works Department is looking to hire again. Now, there's no limit on how many people they'll hire. They pretty much hire anybody who applies, don't they? If they're qualified.
There's so much money.
If they're qualified, yeah, we have X amount of dollars. We usually just like about 2 of them on per time though, because otherwise it becomes kind of
And
messy.
they get more time if they're
The
fewer
less amount of people that apply, the more time the other ones get.
Yeah.
That's it. And the rate of pay is $8.50 with an increase to $9 beginning August 1st.
so everybody will sign up
That's
for
by
August
state
1st.
law.
State law.
So, okay, applications are available at the city clerk's office, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, and must be returned no later than 4 p.m. on Friday, May 15th. So, may I have a motion to get this hiring underway?
I'll make a motion to, I guess, put out for applications for summer help.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. All right, our campground, we had asked Mike for this information, and so he's back to us with, we sold 183 campsites last year, not that we have that many, but that's how many times they were used last season. The revenue for the campground was $1,277. You had expected about 750, so we did better. It's the best year we've had.
It was a very good year.
Yeah, it was a nice. So,
I think more people are hearing about it.
Yep.
I do too.
yeah,
Probably helps that we had a beach attendant checking on it.
I think it does. I
Oh,
think it
yes.
does help where they
Yeah,
kind of
yes.
just walk up and down the road. That's all basically they gotta do, but at least they know that somebody's there checking.
I mean, we got some improvements to do before it opens up
yes.
again.
And then that piece of road, we're gonna have to figure out what we're gonna
Right.
do to make that
Close it off.
usable.
Yeah, I'll bring that up at
We
the
can.
next,
Yes, we can.
at the next meeting and
Yeah.
talk about it some more.
All right, Mike. So the MIB community calendar advertisement.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to read.
The next page, you can see it for what it is.
If that's what it looks like, no, we're not gonna.
Yeah. Now, do we do this annually? for
We've
them?
done this
Yes.
for as long as I've been here.
Can I have a motion to pay the $55 for the community calendar advertisement?
I'll make a motion, we pay the $55 for the Merritt Elementary PTA calendar ad.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Long Range Planning and Zoning Commission resignation. Craig Pulford has informed our city clerk that he is resigning from this board. So there will be a vacancy on Long Range Planning and Zoning.
I'll make a motion that we accept his resignation.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. South Memorial Drive bid opening, just to let everyone know that the bid opening is scheduled for 11 a.m. on Thursday at the City Hall.
Yeah.
May 14th.
So if you want to be there. And trickling water, we've discussed already, so, but do we want to give Mike permission? And when you guys feel it's time, then you'll post it, and are you
Yeah.
gonna put out mailings to, or,
We thought we might, to be honest with you, kind of every person would get one
We're-
that's on
well-
the list.
do you have a real extensive list? Would it be a lot of phone calls to call them, or just to mail to them precisely, the people who actually,
Who are on the list?
yeah, who are on the list?
That's
Yeah, we'd probably mail it right to the people that are on the list,
Sure.
and then we have everything we need, so.
Mike, do we need a motion to allow you to do this?
I would, yeah, I'd like that.
I'll make a motion that we allow our city clerk to make the decision when to have the water trickling done with.
Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. I have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Support? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. This meeting is adjourned.
That's how you got ours.